My name is Shayna. I am a missionary with Family Missions Company. I have just finished intake, and this is how I got here. I grew up in the Alleluia community, and from a very young age, I knew that I wanted to do something to help other people. I knew that there was a lot of need in the world, and I remember from a very young age, I would not want to eat my vegetables, or there would be a certain thing in the meal that I didn't like it, so I didn't want to eat it. And a couple of times I would have people tell me, you really should eat this. There are people who are starving in the world, and that just really shook me. And I questioned it. I was like, I don't understand why there are people around the world who are starving and don't have a meal today when we have more than enough. And from a very young age, I was questioning what I could do to help. And I grew up with this mentality, and throughout my life, I knew some missionaries who were priests or sisters. I worked with the Missionaries of Charity a little bit, but I never knew that it was for lay people as well. But I knew that I had this draw towards missions. And every time I was questioning, I wanted to do something that would help other people. So about 12 years after I really kind of figured out that I wanted to do mission work, I was a senior in high school and starting to question what I wanted to do next. And it was the dreaded question for me. I had no idea what was next. I thought maybe about nursing because I knew some nurses who would travel around the world helping people going on short-term missions. But the problem was I did not want to go through another year of school. I just wanted to go straight into whatever it was I was doing next and not spend another day in a classroom. And so I was really not in the best place spiritually, but I remember one night I just cried out to the Lord Jesus, what do you want me to do? And I didn't get an answer right away, but I remember there was a group that came to the Alleluia community and spoke to the high school, and it was this group called Family Missions Company, and we kind of had connections to the founders, but I didn't know very much about it at all. And my mom, who I had not talked to about missions at all, suggested that I looked into it. And like the great daughter that I am, it took me like 5 months to do that. And I finally did one night very late when I was with a friend, just on my phone looking through it, seeing all the charisms and seeing what they do and how they work. I just began to fall in love with this company that I had never really been connected to and had never visited, and I was just falling in love with it reading online. And so I was drawn to it, and I looked at the requirements, and there was no college requirements. And so I talked to my parents, and I said, this is really a desire that I have, and they thought I was joking. They thought there was no way I was serious. I had never brought up missions to them. I had never told them I was even discerning doing mission work. And even though my mom had suggested I look into it, she had forgotten that and just didn't think I was serious at all. So I graduated from high school and I went off for a month to work at a camp. And my prayer for while I was there was, Lord Jesus, please just change their hearts, because this is something I know you want me to do. And I came home and I talked to my parents, and they had just had this complete change of heart, complete 180, said that they would do whatever it takes to get me there, including drive 48 hours in 1 week, because I had a brother who was graduating in Florida, and we were in Georgia, and the come and see was in Louisiana. So my parents were gonna drive me to Louisiana, drive down to Florida for their graduation, pick me up in Louisiana, and then drive back to Augusta. And my mind was just completely blown. I knew that they were all in supporting me in this. And I did not end up driving 48 hours that week because they, about a week before, decided that that was not realistic and decided that I would just fly. So I flew by myself, and as soon as I stepped off the plane, I knew this is where God wanted me to be. And I just fell in love with Family Missions Company, with the work that they do, the people that they are, how real they are, and how they don't sugarcoat that missions is hard. They are very realistic, and they just call me on as a person. And so I had to wait a year, and that was a challenge when I was discerning. But this past year, I just have had such faith in knowing that there's a reason God asked me to wait, and seeing why was amazing. And knowing that in the beginning of the year, my brother got married, and I got to see him very often. And then in March, he ended up passing away. And had I been in missions, none of that, I would have been gone for most of that. I would not have had the relationship that I had with him. I would not have met a lot of people that I met. I would not have gone to Europe when I went to Europe. I would have been in missions, and while I would have been in God's will and that I was a missionary, it wasn't his timing. So I'm grateful that God's plan is perfect.